Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Main Event Football Show. It is I, Main Event Mike, somewhere. Where am I? Oh, there I am. Let's try to get that off of there. I don't know why that won't go off there. Hey, there. Now I'm smaller. What the heck? In case you can't tell, the producer's not here tonight. Kind of on my own. Let's see. Can we make this go away? Go away. Hide. There we are. Welcome to the Main Event Football Show. It's the most glorious Main Event Football Show that has ever been, because the Detroit Lions are back-to-back division champions. Ooh, pinch me. Is that right? Back-to-back division champions, and they won 15 games? This has got to be a dream. Detroit Lions dispose of the Minnesota Vikings last night in dominating fashion from halftime on, 31-9. They deny the high-powered Minnesota Vikings a touchdown. Welcome to the program, everyone. Getting a little ahead of myself because I'm just so excited. I know you all are too, if you're a Detroit Lions fan or if you're a fan of the NFC North, period. Because what a great season it was for the NFC North as we head into the postseason. Let's take care of some of our bills now. We are broadcasting live into the Villain Squad Network on Lions Villain Squad. That's the page. You should go over there and follow it. And we are also broadcasting live into the Detroit Lions News podcast. Big thanks to Joe Chapp and the boys. Also broadcasting live on YouTube at JC Sports. Actually, I don't know if we're there. We're definitely at Villain Squad, though. At Villain Squad on YouTube. You can subscribe and be one of the cool kids. And we are also broadcasting live into the Huddle Sports Zone on Roku TV. So thanks, everyone, for being here. Like, share, subscribe, like our content. Do what we got to do to get this done. I am Main Event Mike. It's Monday at 7 p.m. There is no game tonight. Monday Night Football is over with, so we're not going to be able to do our predictions tonight. But we are going to be talking about the game last night. But with this show being on Monday night, you've already heard 10 people break the game down. I was on this morning at 10 a.m. on the Villain Report giving you the box score. You already know that Jahmyr Gibbs had 170 total scrimmage yards and 4 touchdowns and looked like the best running back in the NFL when you consider contract, age, and production. Yeah, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, they're top of the game right now. But who would you rather have when you factor all things in? Age, contract, and production. It's got to be Jahmyr Gibbs. He set himself apart last night. He scored more touchdowns than anyone in the NFL this year. He broke the franchise record for most touchdowns in a season, and they weren't 1-yard plunges like Jamal Williams. Not taking anything away from Swaggy. I love Swaggy. But he did it in dominating fashion. Some of them runs yesterday were reminiscent of Barry Sanders, reminiscent of what he did last year. The one where he sprinted to the corner past the safety last night looked just like the one he did in Tampa against Tampa in the playoffs, where he ran away from Antoine Winfield Jr. Kid's a stud, 12th overall pick. I remember draft day, I was flabbergasted, and now he has delivered us 2 division titles in a row, along with Jared Goff and company. So we're going to be talking about that. We're also going to talk about what was the biggest play of the game last night for you? For me, it's probably going to be something that it isn't off the beaten path. This show's only once a week, so we're gonna try to talk about different things like we do every week, and we want to hear from you. We want to hear from you in the comments. This is an interactive show. Let your voice be heard and join the conversation. Let's say hello now to Davey in the house. Hello, Davey. Jordan Mijo in the house says, hey, Villain, one pride. Happy Victory Monday. Division sweep. Monday, division champs. Monday, first seed bye and rest week. Monday, best victory Monday ever. You're getting me pumped up, brother. You're like Dan Campbell, man. Did you guys see the Dan Campbell locker room speech? We showed it this morning on the Villain Squad. Got me teared up, man. This guy is so motivating. It's no wonder that these coaches are getting the most out of a depleted roster, especially on defense. We're going to talk about that tonight as well. Detroit Fan Man in the house. Welcome to the show. I'm here for the rumored Coach of the Year discussion. Hey, peoples. Oh, what a great segue, Fan Man. That's perfect, because we're also going to talk about postseason awards this tonight on this program. That's one advantage that I do have, being the Monday night 7 p.m. show. I'm ahead of it when it comes to all the stuff. All the other shows are going to rehash next week because I don't have Lion stuff to talk about. I'm going to get ahead of it and talk about it tonight. We're going to talk about Coach of the Year award, Rookie of the Year award, Defensive and Offensive, Comeback Player of the Year award, and of course, MVP. But before we do that, let's get right into this Detroit Lions, man. We would be remiss if we did not relish in this as Lions fans. If you're a Viking fan or a Bear fan or a Packer fan, you should also be pretty proud of the seasons that you've had, even the Chicago Bears. Congratulations to the Bears for beating the Packers, getting that monkey off their back, 12 consecutive losses, man. We know how that feels as Lions fans, to slay those dragons, to get those monkeys off your back. This team for the Lions has done so many of those in the last 2 years. They just keep falling like dominoes, all these things. This year we beat the Seahawks. I hadn't beaten them in forever. The Cowboys. It all started with that road victory in Green Bay when they rested all their starters, and we got a road victory and got that monkey off our back of winning in Lambeau. That started events in motion for this team, which is now undefeated for the season on the road. Undefeated. It's very hard to do, folks. Very hard to do in the NFL, to go into every single building and win. They lost 2 games, 15-2. The 2 teams they lost to both won their division. And I dare say if the Lions hadn't gone 1 for 7 in the red zone against Tampa, it could have been a different game. If the Lions get 1 more possession against Buffalo, that could have been a different game. No shame in losing to those teams. 15-2, the most historic season in Lions history, capped off by an incredible win last night against a high-powered team with a dangerous defense. As we said, Jahmyr Gibbs totally stole the show in the game last night. But for me, those plays that he made were big. Yeah, they're great. But it's those intangible plays. It's those 3 or 4 plays in every game that are the crux, that are backbreakers. They're not always scores. And for me, those plays were these 2. And I want you to come up with yours. Please put them in the comments. We will address them. We'll talk about them, because the villains always have great input on this show. And we always run with great points from you as well. So for me, it was the fake draw them offsides. I call it the fake, but that play was so beautiful. When they drew them offsides, it's a play that every NFL team does every week, but it's never successful. But the Lions pulled that off at a crucial time in the game when they knew they didn't want to give the ball back to Minnesota, because they were hungry to get in that end zone, and they knew they had to strike quick. But we were able to keep the ball away from them. We held the ball 12 minutes more than them in the game. That's almost a full quarter. And it was because of plays like this. The Lions go in like all these other teams they're going to try to draw them off sides. No one said that during the game when it was happening. The announcers didn't say that because Dan Campbell goes for it on 4th down so much. He faked the fake. It's beautiful. It was beautiful. Where I was at the Lions Den, we were going bananas when it happened. I'm like, it's a false start. It's an offsides penalty, and we're losing our stuff over it. It was great. A great play, a huge play. It really took the air out of Minnesota. You look up at the clock and you say, maybe, okay, we need 2 scores. We can do this. No, you can't. What a great call that was. The other play for me was the Cam Akers 58-yard run, when clearly there was a delay of game or even a false start. If you go back and look at the replay, and the Lions defense was caught off guard because they were in disbelief that maybe a 2 whole seconds had gone off on the play clock, or it had been at zeros for a long time. And they called, and then this guy breaks a 58-yard run. But what was great about that play was Kirby effing Joseph running it down from the backside. It takes more grit. If Cam Akers scores on that touchdown, that could be a momentum shift. That could be huge. That could have been the difference in the game. But instead, Kirby runs him down, tackles him, and the defense holds for a fourth quarter turn or fourth down turnover on downs, and we retain possession back going the other way. Huge play. Huge play. Not a score, not as flashy as those 4 touchdowns by Jahmyr Gibbs. No. But just as important to the ebb and the flow and the dichotomy of the football game. It was an incredible game, even though I know a lot of people lost their shirt because they had bet the over. I know that for sure. I know Vegas lost. Boy, I had to have lost a lot on people who took the over. I know Vegas never loses because so many other people take the other and they just win the juice. They never lose. Who do we got in here? Oh, where did I leave? Oh, our good friend, Chad. Hey, fam. What's up, Chad? Glad to see you, my friend. Go Lions, Chad. You said we were going to sweep the NFC North, Chad. You said that. Nope, I can't give a guess because I don't have, this is a different, we don't use StreamYard anymore, Chad. I don't know how to do it. Wish I had. Wish I did. Okay, here we go. This is where I left off. Scott's in the house. Welcome, Scott. Joseph Osten in the house. Welcome, Joseph, to the program. Our good friend Jonathan back in here. What's up, Mike? Been a great year. Sure has. It's been the kind of year we're going to tell our grandkids about. I mean, it sounds ridiculous. I know it sounds absurd. But this is a golden age of Detroit Lions football, folks. The Bobby Lane stuff, when your grandfather told you about it, maybe your great-grandfather, telling you about winning championships and being the best team in the league. Maybe we're not there yet. But it's definitely an age that we're going to look back on and say, remember when. And it's outstanding. Jerome in the house. What's up, my brother, Jerome? Lloyd here on the program today. Glad to have you. Vikings now suffering from Honolulu Blue flu. They will lose next week. Vikings one and done in the playoffs. Woo-hoo. It's a hot take, Lloyd. It's exactly what happened to him in the regular season in week number week seven, I believe. And when we went and won 31-29 at US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis, they did lose the next week to who? The Rams. They lost 2 in a row, didn't they? Yeah. They lost 2 games all year before last night, and they were back-to-back. That's when the Honolulu flu thing was really going strong. That people, all the nerds like me, started looking stuff up in the past. Wow, is any other team ever had it? Come to find out, it was a bunch of hooey. Because in the 2023 season, the Detroit Lions, every team that they beat in 2023 won the next week. So it's just a coincidence, folks. But I do love the call, Lloyd. I do love it. Vikings one and done. I don't want to play the Vikings, and I don't want to play the Rams. I want to play the Bucks. I want to play the Commanders. I know people don't want to play Commanders. That's a great question for us tonight too, if we want to hit that. Who do you not want to play? I know some of you are going to come in and go, it doesn't matter who we play. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah. You can have that take. I'm not afraid to say we do not match up well to the Los Angeles Rams. It is very hard to beat a team twice, let alone 3 times in a row. Sean McVay is a very smart coach. Matt Stafford's one of the most talented throwing arms the NFL has ever seen. If any quarterback can pick you apart, it's Stafford. And we do not match up well with that team. They are a young team, very, very young team. I think the Vikings showed their age a little bit last night in the second half. They're a hungry team, and they're a hot team, and I don't want to play the Rams. We've been talking all year about how we're on a collision course with the Eagles for the NFC title. That may still hold true, but I do like the Packers going there to play them. Packers lost in week 1 in Brazil to the Philadelphia Eagles. That's going to be a great matchup. Green Bay at Philly, the 7 versus the 2. Then, of course, you've got Washington at Tampa. That's the 6 versus the 3. And as we said, the Vikings, the 5 at the Rams, number 4. The Lions will play the lowest seed of those teams after next week. So tell me, put it in the comments. I want to hear, who do you not want to play? And it's okay to say, I don't care who we play. That's a take. That's a real take. You know that's what Dan Campbell's going to say. We don't care who it is, because it's going to be in our building anyway, folks. And as much as I don't want to play Matt Stafford, I'm really glad if we do, it's going to be here where we can boo his wife. Just kidding. Don't boo them kids. Ryan's here. Ryan says, it's weird being a Lions fan now. So true. We don't know how to act. What's that one movie? What do I do with my hands? We don't know how to act. These Packer fans, you guys hang division banners? Ha. Yeah, we're going to hang another one. How you like that? We don't know how to act. We've been beaten down. We've been ground and pound. They've been on top of us for years. When Russ Wayne and I came into this game 4 years ago, before the Lions went 3-13, we were taking it from all sides, buddy. All the fan bases beating up on us. We were their punching bag. And as Dan Campbell brought this team back, now we're the villains, and they're all scared. It's a beautiful thing and a weird thing, Ryan. You're so right. Corey, what's up? Main Event Mike in the house. Dan is a genius for sure. Hard to believe he's a genius. Just the whole thing was amazing. Good friend T in the house. What is up, T? Anzalone. What a good call out here from Joseph. Anzalone finally had called delay himself. Right, he was jumping across the line. Let's talk about Alex Anzalone for a minute. Led the team in tackles last night. 7 tackles and led the team. And he just was a quiet confidence. I think Dan Campbell alluded to that in his press conference. His leadership and that quiet confidence that he can calm any storm that's out there. But more than that, he gave us great coverage in the middle of the field. Do you remember last week when Brock Purdy ran a play fake and 3 linebackers all ran with the play fake, and George Kittle went out this way, 25-yard gains, 33-yard game? It was sad. All game long, the Niners were abusing the middle of the field on us. Throwing to the backs, throwing to the tight ends, killing us. Anzalone comes back in. You didn't see that. TJ Hawkinson, 2 catches? Yeah, nothing. The only thing that was coming out of the backfield, getting a pass, was on the edges. They weren't getting anything over the middle. Jack Campbell and Anzalone there now is a lot more formidable than Neiman or Nowoski. The coverage is just better. And the tackling is better. Not to take anything away from them guys. They did great, and we got the dub. That's what matters. Lloyd says his favorite play was Jamo's 4th down catch in traffic just before the Gibbs TD run. And yeah, that was one of my favorites, but not so much what Jamo, but Jared Goff standing tall in the pocket. Slid. Did you see him slide just ever so slightly? He slid, took the hit, delivered the ball on 4th down. That was a great play. It's a great call out, Lloyd. Thank you for putting that in. Sue in the house says, been in Lions fan forever. Love me some Lions. Was a great game. Yes, yes. You know, it was a great game, even if we had come out on the losing end of that. It was just an entertaining football game. The refs, a lot of mixed emotions about the refs. I don't even talk about the refs tonight. We got so much to talk about. And the refs, hey, you win some, you lose some. The bottom line is the Lions had more penalties than the Vikings, 8-6. And when it came to first downs from penalties, the Lions only got 1 first down from a penalty, while the Vikings got a whopping 4. Hell, they had 1 drive there where it was just penalties that was getting them down the field because we were shutting everything else down. MVP for this game has to be the whole defense for me. They were maligned, depleted, every adjective in the word used to describe them. All the national media was picking the Vikings to win this game because of the defense. And they didn't allow a touchdown. It's amazing. Love it. Fanman says his favorite play was the Vikes kicking the ball out of bounds before the end of the half, which allowed us to get a field goal. That was huge, man. That was a huge play. And those passing plays to get into range for Bates really crushed momentum. It did. It took you could see Reichard was about to cry on the sideline. And you're right. What a great out throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown to the sideline, gets out of bounds. That was a nail. And they panned the Vikings sideline right then as he caught that ball and went out of bounds, stopped the clock. And the whole Vikings bench, everybody was like, oh. You could tell from the body language that I think they were overwhelmed. And I think a lot of that had to do with the crowd. I mean, Sam Darnold on the big stage crumbled. Yeah, we were getting pressure on him, but you know what? He skipped a lot of balls. He had terrible accuracy. Sam Darnold, 18 of 41, below 50%. Wait, no, sorry. That was an English major. So it's a little over 50%. And Tyler in the house says the star for him in the game was Amik Robertson. Yeah, it's quite a task to have to guard the best wide receiver in the NFL one-on-one all game and limit him to 3 catches. Amik Robertson, 5'8", Justin Jefferson, 6'2.5", 6'3". Elise Memes in the house tonight. She's the queen of memes. You should go check out her page and follow her because you won't be sorry. She makes some really great stuff. Hi, Mike. My son and I are rewatching the game tonight. What incredible regular season. Go Lions. Rewatching the game, a rerun football game. That's one worth doing, I would say. Jason, welcome to the program. I posted in early December that we would win out and earn the crown. You were close. Never count the Lions out. We're the champions. Terry says the one team she don't want to face is the Eagles. That's a good call. They're the number 2 for a reason. That defense is formidable. They have the best defense. And they have the best offensive line. Left of all these teams, besides outside of the Lions, they have the best defensive line. They have the best offensive line. They have the best running back. Probably, arguably, one of the best quarterback. Jalen Hurts. I don't think Jalen Hurts is better than Goff, but he's considered a top 5 quarterback in this league. Not by me. Corey says, I don't know. I think the Bucs seem kind of dangerous right now. Absolutely. Boy, did they have a stinker of a first half against New Orleans, though. And TM says he don't want to play the Vikings again. TM says don't want to play the Vikings again. Let me rephrase that. Sorry. Chad says no Stafford or Mayfield. Hot quarterbacks. Hot QBs going into the playoffs. You don't want to face that. Stafford coming off a week of rest also. And we don't match up well with them. Puka, Kupp. They have a really, really underrated, really good running back in Kyron Williams. And Sean McVay is one of the best play callers in the game. I can't stand him, but hey, I'm sure he doesn't care. And the Vikings. Jordan, this is such a good call out. Honestly, it's hard to win 3 times per season when they have all the tape. They know what you're going to do. Even when the well is deep like it is with Ben Johnson, 3 times is asking a lot. Right. Corey says, AG, masterful game plan. Absolutely. Next week, we're going to talk about the coaching carousel. I imagine some of these jobs are going to be filled by next week. There's rumors out there that the Bears want to interview Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. Interview them both for their head coaching vacancy. We'll talk about that next week. 31-9, Lions win. They sweep the NFC North. They sweep the NFC West. And they sweep the AFC South. They swept 3 whole divisions, folks. Last year, they swept 2 whole divisions and 1 loss to the Packers on Thanksgiving, or they would have swept 3. This team can win on the road, but we don't have to now. We get to rest. No team needs to buy more than the Lions, and I'm not sure what 1 week is really going to do for us. It's going to help the guys that are still playing but are sore. It's going to help them. But most of our players that we really, really miss aren't ever coming back this season. Ali McNeil's not coming back. Now, Carlton Davis with a broken jaw. He is on injured reserve. I don't know the status of that. If somebody else does know, please let us know. It's a broken jaw. So, I mean, you're out, right? You're done for the season too? That's a killer. Update, Terrion Arnold. Everybody in Lions Nation last night held their breath when Terrion Arnold was carted off the field with an ankle. It looked like some sort of foot or ankle injury. Nothing has been officially said yet as of the time we went to air. Dan Campbell did say that, well, he couldn't finish the game, so it's that bad. Immediately after the game, that's what he said. And then today he said that the X-rays were negative. Dan Campbell reported that the X-rays were negative, nothing broken. And then Terrion Arnold himself says that he will be good to go. He was seen celebrating in the locker room last night with a walking boot on the foot, but he was standing and he was celebrating with his teammates with a walking boot on. And there is some report out there on the internet right now that he will definitely play in the divisional round, but I would take that with some precaution because the medical staff will decide whether or not he's going to play next week as it develops. I keep saying next week, but it's next game, which is almost a full 2 weeks away. So wanted to get that out there. Terrion Arnold, there is the update for Terrion Arnold. So that's it. What's your biggest play of the game? What was your favorite play of the game? Congratulations to Mike Evans. Mike Evans needed 85 yards to get 1,000 yards, and he got 89 yards in a tight game against the New Orleans Saints, where he didn't even have a catch in, I think he had 3 targets in the first half. So it didn't look like he was going to get it. And in the second half, they started calling his number. He got 89 yards and he was able to go over 1,000 after missing a few games this year as well. So it's a pretty good accomplishment there. That is 11 seasons consecutively for 1,000 yards receiving. Never been done 11 consecutive seasons of 1,000 yards. Also never been done your first 11 seasons, 1,000 yards. I get that we play 17 games now, but I don't make the rules. So let's get into this then. You're watching the Main Event Football Show right here on the Villain Squad Network. Don't forget to join us tomorrow on the Villain Report with Russell Wayne. It's PFF Tuesday. We'll be going over the PFF grades for the Detroit Lions and the Vikings game from yesterday. So let's take a look at these postseason awards now. First one I want to talk about is Coach of the Year. And let me tell you why it isn't Dan Campbell, in my opinion. You are entitled to your opinion. I do not think it will be Dan Campbell. So I'm going to make my picks, not necessarily who I prefer or who I think deserves it. I'm going to make my picks who I think it's going to be. And I think it's going to be Kevin O'Connell if he wins next week. And I'll tell you why. First, let's talk about why it's not Dan Campbell. Because the Coach of the Year award, historically, traditionally, has been decided by a coach, not the one that had the most wins. Bill Belichick only won it twice, I think. Andy Reid, I think, has won it once or twice. So it's not who's the best coach, right? It's what did you do as a coach that made you better than the other guys? What coaching moves, levers did you pull? In 2022, we saw Brian Daboll win the award. Probably Kevin O'Connell got screwed then. He had a 13-3 team in the playoffs, and he lost in the first round to Daboll and the Giants. But Daboll and the Giants were expected to win 2 or 3 games that year. And they won. They went 9-8 and won a playoff game. He did a lot with the little. And he won the award over guys like Andy Reid and Sean McDermott, Mike McCarthy with 12 wins. These guys, I mean, he won the award. Last year, it was Kevin Stefanski from the Browns. He had 11 wins. Why? Why Kevin Stefanski? Should have been Dan Campbell last year. Actually, should have been DeMeco Ryans last year. But it was Kevin Stefanski. Why? Because he made it to the playoffs with 5 different quarterbacks. He was able to pull levers, and this guy gets hurt, and I pull another level, and we keep winning, and I got us to the playoff. I was a steward. I captained the ship. I navigated the waters, and I got my team across the finish line into the playoffs. I can't say that for Dan Campbell. They were the prohibitive favorite to win the division or even to win the NFC. So Dan Campbell's doing what was expected to be done. What is the biggest surprise this season? It's the Minnesota Vikings and Sam Darnold, hands down. Jaden Daniels, maybe Saquon, that wasn't even really a surprise. Gee, Saquon got 2,000 yards behind the Eagles' O-line. Is that surprising? DeAndre Swift got 1,000 yards behind that line. No, that doesn't surprise me at all. You look at the rosters that some of these teams have. Another reason DeMeco Ryans should have won it last year. Kevin O'Connell handpicked Sam Darnold. Handpicked him. They were going to run with J.J. McCarthy. Everyone had them pegged for last in the division. It was going to be Nick Mullins and J.J. McCarthy. Kevin O'Connell handpicked Sam Darnold, and it's the comeback story of the year. I believe Kevin O'Connell will win Coach of the Year. This is a question from Fanman. The voting deadline for Coach of the Year is done now before any wild card game, right? And if so, KOC really dropped the ball trying to impersonate MCDC last night. Do you think last night's loss hurts Kevin O'Connell's chances after going 14-3? I love it, Joseph. Dan is the Coach of the Year. You think that's what it's going to be, or you're saying he deserves it? Hell, he deserved it in 2022, Joseph. Let's be honest. He turned this franchise around from 3-13-1 to 9-8, and a whisker away from making the playoffs. If another team had lost, we'd have been in. And a winning record. That was quite a story in 2022. Then in 2023, he goes 12 wins, most wins in franchise history in the Super Bowl era. And he doesn't get it then. It's not your win-loss record, man, that makes you win it. It's those levers you pulled to get there. And I think you can also say that Dan Campbell's coaching style helps him as a trailblazer, as a guy that goes for it on 4th down. He's changing the game. But you can also call that a deficiency. Going for it with 12 minutes left in the game, down by 10, and you kick an onside kick. Make it make sense. Last year, I'd have been okay with it, but now you got to take out an ad in the paper to tell everyone that you are going to kick an onside kick. So what is the point? That was a blunder, folks. That ended up being a one-possession game, and with 12 minutes left, you're only down by 10. I realized that Josh Allen was destroying us, and we didn't want to put that defense back out there, even though Dan Campbell wouldn't say that. He didn't want to put that defense out there and get shredded some more because they put up over 40 on us. That was a bad move. Okay? I'll tell you another thing. Last night, do you remember the TJ Hawkinson 5-yard reception that Dan Campbell challenged with 2:40-something, I believe, in the game? He challenged that play, and it was overturned. He won the challenge because the ball did actually touch the ground. Well, that turns out to be not a great move in that situation. The time ticked off the clock, a precious 20 seconds, ticked off the clock on that play, and you're still up big. That time, I would argue, is more important than having to enforce that penalty or bring that play back and a loss of down as an incomplete pass. I didn't think that was the greatest call either. And there are many that you can point to this year and say maybe a blunder here. He's still learning it. I'm not bashing him, guys. I love him. Ain't nobody else I'd rather have as my coach than Dan Campbell for this team. And he's taken his lumps. And maybe he will get coach of the year this year. Maybe you're right. You're entitled to your opinion, and so am I. Jordan says, with all the losses on defense, we survived. Glenn deserves Defensive Coordinator of the Year award. Yeah, but there is no such thing. If there was such a thing, I would agree with that. Terry says, when you go for it on 4th down, that matters. He goes for it a lot on 4th down. Some of them, come on, even the biggest Dan Campbell supporter can at least point to 1 or 2 this year that maybe he should have not done that. If not, you're lying to yourself. And those things is what the voters also see. And that's why I don't think Dan Campbell is going to win it. Next on the postseason awards, let's jump into the big one, MVP. Let's face it, MVP is a quarterback award. It's not officially a quarterback award, but it is. Only 2 players have won the MVP in the last 18 years, I believe it is. Adrian Peterson, I know, won one. And there's one other back that won it in the last 20 years. It's a quarterback's award. So let's just give Saquon Barkley the Offensive Player of the Year award right now. Saquon rushed for 2,005 yards in magical fashion too, by the way. I think that we're just going to give him Offensive Player of the Year award so we can take him out of the running for MVP. Our 4 candidates for MVP, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, all in the same conference, and your boy, Jared Goff. Jared Goff. Goff, Allen, Burrow, Lamar. Put it in the comments. I want to hear from you. Who's your MVP? Now, you can put your answer in now, or you can wait till I give you all the stats. Let's start with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is on an incredible pace on this. It was on an incredible pace this at the second half of the season. He finishes with 4,918 yards, almost 5,000 yards, over 40 touchdowns with 43, under 10 interceptions with 9. He's the first quarterback in a long, long time to throw for more than 4,000, more than 40 TDs, and less than 10 interceptions. He finishes with a quarterback rating of 108.5 for the season, and he had a terrible defense, and he did not make the playoffs. But those are the best numbers. He's got the most touchdowns. He's got the most yards, okay? If that's what does it for you, if that's what swings your vote. Joe Burrow, 4,918, 43, and 9. Josh Allen, I'm going to go ahead and subtract Josh Allen based on the stats. Josh Allen did not make it to 4,000 yards. He had 3,731 yards. He had less than 30 touchdowns with 28. We're not counting the rushing ones, though. He had 6 interceptions and a passer rating of 101.4. Pretty good. Pretty good. But I think Jared Goff's numbers look better from a quarterback point of view, not a guy who's running around getting yards on the ground. Jared Goff, 4,629 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. He finishes with the second highest passer rating in the league at 111.8. 37 and 12. 37 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Boy, that Houston game where he threw 5 would look a lot better right now without that game, wouldn't it? In fact, if you subtract those 5 interceptions and bring him down to 7, it gives him a much stronger case for this award. Because all of these guys are up against Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, 4,172 yards, so over that 4,000 benchmark. 41 touchdowns, so over that 40 touchdown benchmark. But only 4 interceptions all season long. 41-72 in yards and only 4 interceptions. He finishes with the highest passer rating in the NFL at 119.6. His team won the division. Josh Allen's team won the division, as did Goff, as Burrow did not make the playoffs. Put it in the comments. I'd like to hear what you guys have to think about this topic. Detroit Fan Man says he thinks it's Josh Allen who won the MVP by beating the Lions this year. We are the standard. Why isn't Baker Mayfield even in the conversation then? Baker Mayfield has more yards passing than all these guys, except Joe Burrow and Goff. He's up there. Mayfield has he really should be in here. But I 4 is enough to deal with in one show. It's just a podcast. Right. That's a good call out, Joseph. MVP may be a QB award, but it's not a stat award. Okay, so, right, but the stats figure in, right? They have to. The numbers don't lie. It's a good question, though. I mean, it's a great, valid point. Not all about the numbers. It's MVP, most valuable player. No doubt that Josh Allen is the most valuable player on his team. But couldn't you say that about any quarterback? I mean, essentially, isn't Goff really the most valuable player on the Lions? So if it's not about the stats, what is it? Maybe it's about raising the level of play of those around you. We used to love to use that when we were doing basketball analysis. He raises the level of play of everyone around him. Is that what a most valuable player does? No, it's a quarterback award, and it's driven by stats. And that's why I think Lamar Jackson will win the MVP. Put in the comments. Tell me what you think. Joseph thinks it's Josh Allen. Troy Fan Man thinks it's Josh Allen. Look, would I trade all these guys for Josh Allen? Probably. I probably would. I would rather have Josh Allen than Lamar Jackson. I'd rather have Josh Allen than Jared Goff. Don't shoot me. Not on this team. Not on the Lions, of course. But I think Josh Allen is a beast. But I think it's going to be Lamar Jackson. 4 interceptions is ridiculous. Sure, he's got Derrick Henry. By the way, Lamar Jackson he's also the 20th ranked rusher in the NFL. He's got 915 rushing yards. Almost 1,000 yards on the ground as well. He won the MVP last year. I don't think his numbers were as good as this. His team won more games. They had a brutal schedule. The Ravens did this year. 119.6 is an incredible season-long passer rating with only 4 interceptions, 915 rushing yards. For me, it's Lamar Jackson. Moving on. Defensive Player of the Year. I think it probably would have been Aiden Hutchinson had he not gotten injured. 7.5 sacks in the 6th game he was rolling. But this one was really tough. Defensive Player of the Year. Trey Hendrickson led the league in sacks, 17.5 sacks. Patrick Surtain had the best coverage grade and coverage metrics of all corners. But for me, it's Kirby Joseph. Defensive Player of the Year, I do believe he's going to win the award. I think he's going to win. He's going to be named All-Pro. This Pro Bowl snub is nothing because he's going to be named All-Pro, and he might even be Defensive Player of the Year. Or Trey Hendrickson will get it because of the sacks. But his team stunk. They were fighting at the end. Their defense was killing them. It's hard to imagine. That guy, Myles Garrett, won it last year. He had 11 sacks. He double-digit sacks. He had a good year, too. He would be up for this. I'm calling it, though. I really got a gut feeling. I think Kirby Joseph is going to win this award, Defensive Player of the Year. Moving on. Let's go to Offensive Rookie of the Year. This is a 2-horse race. It's a number 2 overall pick, Jaden Daniels. and it's Brock Bowers, tight end from the Las Vegas Raiders. I really think it's not even a contest because being a quarterback, getting a team that was predicted to be third or fourth in their division by every media outlet, predicted them to be third or fourth in their division, and then become the 6th seed in the playoffs and almost and controlled the division for the first half of the season. Jaden Daniels has been nothing short of amazing as a rookie quarterback. I know Bears fans, Caleb had a pretty good year statistically, but he was sacked more than any quarterback, and there's not a whole lot that kid could do. Jaden Daniels, on the other hand, made it work. And I think he's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Brock Bowers broke tight end records that had been set 60 years ago by Mike Ditka. A true stud, this kid, Brock Bowers. And he did that with Gardner Minshew, Aiden O'Connell, and Des Ridder. That's who he had throwing to him. And he broke that record. Of course, he was really all they had. Jacoby Myers, Zamir White, that's your weapons. Brock Bowers. But Jaden Daniels, this is his award. Offensive Rookie of the Year. In my opinion, it's going to be a runaway with this one. Defensive Rookie of the Year. I don't have one for this. I did some research. I looked it up. I thought, who comes to mind first before I looked anything up? I said, who comes to mind? I know that Braden Fiske from the Rams has been having a great year as a rookie defensive lineman. Jared Verse, the defensive end, both from Florida State, also for the Rams, having a great year, holding down a young defense, and they are producing. Defensive Rookie of the Year. Quinyon Mitchell, the cornerback for the Philadelphia Eagles, his coverage grade and his coverage metrics are excellent. Not just for a rookie, but for anyone. He's going to be a frontline starter for a long time in this league. Howie Roseman did it again. Defensive Player of the Year, also, I didn't mention, Jalen Carter, maybe? Jalen Carter making it to the Pro Bowl? He might be named All-Pro nose tackle. I think I'm going to go with Quinyon Mitchell, corner for the Eagles for Defensive Rookie of the Year, though I don't have a clue on this one. Jordan agrees with me that the stats probably will give Lamar the MVP this season, and that's all I'm saying. Yeah, that would be insane, right? Brother, if that happens, you be sure to tell him Main Event Mike called that. That's why it'll probably never happen. Definitely Jaden Daniels. Yeah, I love this call out. It's a great way to tackle the stupid dirty player label for Kirby Joseph. Call him dirty if you want, but then he's now the dirty defensive player of the year. Yeah. And it certainly isn't Dallas Turner. Oh, I see what you did there. It's not Edrin Cooper either. Love it. Last one, folks. And this one is Comeback Player of the Year. Last year, it was Joe Flacco. He was one of those 5 quarterbacks that Stefanski had to pull a lever to get Coach of the Year. One of those levers was Joe Flacco, who came in off the couch and took the Browns to the playoffs and lost. I was so mad about that one. He did not deserve that. I'm sorry. DeMar Hamlin died. He died on the field. What? It's a comeback player. He literally died on the field and came back and started in an NFL game the next year. And you gave it to Flacco, who was, cleaning yogurt from his 5 kids off the couch when they called, he said. I was cleaning yogurt off the couch when they called. And he gets Comeback Player of the Year. You know who could have got it this year? Aaron Rodgers, after that Achilles. If he'd have taken the Jets to the playoffs, if he would have thrown for 4,000 yards, if he would have not been a D-bag, if he would have not needled the ownership until they fired the coach and needled the ownership until they brought in Devontae Adams and then stunk the rest of the way. That would have been a good, feel-good story for you, Karen Rodgers. Blowing out your Achilles like that, coming back and being successful. You had a chance for comeback player of the year, but you blew it. Kirk Cousins, also, love you, Kirk. Love you, Kirk. You're a great guy, great human being, I believe. And you're the shrewdest businessman I've ever seen. And you had a chance to be comeback player of the year as well. But instead, you threw 6 picks in one game and got benched for a rookie. And your team missed the playoffs. You could have been comeback player of the year. I also think this is going to be a runaway win for the recipient of this award for comeback player of the year. It's Sam Darnold, hands down, right? From the trash heap, Sam Darnold, comeback player of the year. Put in the comments. I want to know what you think. We're going to get out of here at 7:52. We're going to get out of here in about 8 minutes. Appreciate everyone watching the show tonight. It's the Main Event Football Show. We will continue the show all the way through the Super Bowl week. And then I believe there will be a hiatus before we come back for the draft in April. So appreciate everyone this season who's been riding with us, been here for the shows, watching the viewership go up. And in case you don't know, click the like or the emoji, man. That's how it works, right? That's the payoff for us, is just when you interact, when you click an emoji or when you make a comment or if you share our content. That's why we do this. We do this to get reactions and comments from you, and we appreciate you for doing that. It's the Main Event Football Show every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Last question for you guys, villains. Who is the biggest dumpster fire right now in the NFL? I'll give you some candidates to chew on. The Giants, the Jets, the Raiders, the Bears, the Cowboys. You can nominate someone else if you'd like. Those are just the ones that I saw. Or the Saints. Hey, we forgot. I better write down the Saints. They are in trouble too. Some are going to get a new coach. Some are going to get a new GM. Some of these teams are in such disarray, they seem beyond repair. Some of these teams are right about where the Lions franchise was when Brad Holmes took over. And that's bad. That's really, really bad. And I really feel like the Bears can be omitted from this list because at least they now know who their quarterback is and they know who their GM is. You need that trinity. You need the GM, the coach, and the quarterback. And I think they have two of those. I do believe in Ryan Poles. I think he's a good GM. I like the moves Ryan Poles has made. I like what he's done with what he's had. Matty Eberflus was not his hire. It's all going to be, the whole crux of it is this head coaching hire that he makes not next. And you get that trinity together. So I'm going to omit the Bears as biggest dumpster fire award winner. That's our new award we're giving out on the show now. Biggest dumpster fire award. I'm also going to preclude the New York Giants from it. Even though they don't have a quarterback, they do have Malik Neighbors, and they do have Brian Daboll. I do not believe this chatter that we're hearing that the Giants are going to fire Brian Daboll. 2 years removed from Coach of the Year. And by the way, if Brian Daboll was fired, he would not have to wait 1 day to get a job as a defensive coordinator in this league or an offensive coordinator in this league as a play caller. He's got a great track record. Players love him. He's intelligent. His football IQ is high. I don't believe they're going to get rid of Brian Daboll. So I'm going to omit the Giants from this list as well. Saints, you are definitely in this conversation because Derek Carr is your quarterback. Do you believe Derek Carr is going to be the savior for the franchise? If you think so, then you win the biggest dumpster fire award. Because that guy, look at his track record. He's never won anything. One trip to the playoffs in his entire career. I don't understand why you paid him 40-some million a year. I know the first year the Raiders had to pick up the tab. That was cool. You need a quarterback too, Saints. You do have the GM, though. You have Mickey Loomis. He's one of the best in the business. The ownership loves him too. He's like family there. Nowhere they're going to fire Mickey Loomis. So I do not think you are the biggest dumpster fire, New Orleans Saints. You are excused. Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys have the worst ownership in the league, and thereby having the worst general manager in the league. Jerry Jones, he's a master of selling his brand. He's a media darling. They love sound bites from this guy. But he's not a good GM. He literally did nothing in the offseason to make his team better, and they stunk. So you don't have the GM there. And Mike McCarthy is a really good coach, but his contract expired yesterday. His contract expired. Today. It expired today. His contract expired today, so you don't have the coach and you don't have the GM. But you do have the quarterback. Dak Prescott, an above-average quarterback. You may not like him, but he's a very good quarterback. The numbers don't lie. He's at least a good enough quarterback to build your team around. Everything that's dysfunctional about the Cowboys is not the players on the field. It starts at the top there. So I'm going to preclude you, Cowboys, from dumpster fire, though you are on the edge. Las Vegas Raiders. You don't have a quarterback. You don't have a coach. And you don't have a GM. You do have a GM, but you're probably going to start all over, I think, right? New York Jets, you definitely are a dumpster fire. You just interviewed somebody from a coach. You haven't picked a GM. We don't even know what order you're going to do this in. You have no GM, you have no coach, and you have no quarterback. You have the toughest row to hoe to get that trinity together. Hard to call you the biggest dumpster fire when you got that defense, though. Quinnen Williams, Sauce Gardner. You got Garrett Wilson on the other side, Breece Hall. Some amazing pieces on that. I mean, there's some good players on that team. Hard to call you a dumpster fire with that roster. Let's check the comments, see what the villains got to say. Roy, welcome to the program. Says Joe Burrow for MVP. A lot of, okay, let's see what else we got here. A lot of hot embers in them dumpsters. Cowboys, biggest dumpster fire, Davey says. It's a toss between the Cowboys and the Bears from T. Both New York teams, it's a double dumpster fire. It's a double dumpster. And for Fan Man, it's the Cowboys. Yeah, it's the Cowboys. Yeah, I mean, would you rather, this is how we'll settle this right now, folks. You're Ben Johnson. You only get to pick from two jobs. It's the Jets or the Cowboys. Which job are you taking? I'm taking the Jets because I don't want to deal with the owner of the Cowboys. 100%. I realize they're the most valuable franchise in the world. It's the biggest job in the world. They're the most popular franchise in the world, like it or not. So there's that, but you got to deal with this guy. Yeah, I'd rather have the Jets job. Therefore, Dallas Cowboys, you are the 2024 Main Event Football Show first annual recipient of the Main Event Football Show Dumpster Award. Goes to the Dallas Cowboys today. Thanks to all the villains who have been here today. And what do we got here? Oh, we got music here. Yeah. To everyone who watches this on the recorded version. Also, if you're scrolling through the Villain Squad or the Detroit Lions News podcast and you see this show and you're watching, we appreciate you for doing that as well, for giving us that view. Please like, share our content. Villain Squad Network. 6 days a week, we bring you 7 shows. If you own a business and you'd like to sponsor one of them shows, you can call 810-620-2167. 810-620-2167, and be guilty by association and leverage the power of the villain. Back-to-back NFC North champions. Number 1 seed. It'll be a bye next week. This show will still go on. We're going to break down those Vikings and Packers playoff games and talk about what's new on the front for the Detroit Lions going into the divisional round of the playoffs. Thanks everyone for watching. God bless each and every one of you. Please follow me on social media. It's at Main Event Mike, MANE. I'm on Twitter, X, whatever, Threads, Blue Sky. I'm on TikTok. I'm on Facebook. Follow me on all socials. God bless you. Peace out.